Somebody needs a new watch. I can always count on Wild West. Every single night, he's up there. He's always in first. It always has something. If we're even 1 second late, man, I appreciate you very much. Ray is probably going to be joining us a little bit later on. Maybe not. Kind of one of them things where he's indisposed at the moment. We'll go there, right? So we're going to talk about a few things today, but sorry for being late here this morning or this evening there, Wild West, but glad that you're on. Glad that you're joining, all that kind of fun, happy stuff. So hopefully Ray will be on here after a while, but if not, we got some things to talk about. And if Ray doesn't come on, I just get to go on one of my rants because it's kind of what I'm wanting to do anyhow. Talk about some different things. I'm going to talk about the manufacturers and the manufacturers' recommendations and what they're saying. We had one come out today that was, kind of fun. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. So, Gene, Ray, who? I agree. Ray, who? Rich and Maria, evening. Rich did something bad today. I'm just saying he did it. You know, it's one of them things. But I think he said what, the SF word, snowflake, something like that. Anyhow, I can't use those snowflakes and bad words in Facebook anymore. Anyhow, it was something stupid that, anyhow, I won't get into that. Anyhow, so I want to talk a little bit this evening about some of what the manufacturers recommend and why some of it's stupid and, you know, why we listen to some of it. But I'm also, if Ray doesn't show up, I'm just going to go off on a rant. And so one of the rants that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about different pumps that we have and that we use. I'm going to talk about some of the peroxides and other things that are coming out now that just seem to be growing and we just seem to be hearing more of, and different soaps and which is the right soap, which isn't the right soap. And I'm just going to go off on a couple different rants in that direction. I'm going to talk about, I've seen quite a few posts lately about having to wipe siding to get it clean. And I've had a couple people reach out to me about how do I get this clean, because it, you know, they've sprayed their mix on there and it's not coming. So I'm just going to kind of go into all kinds of stuff and see where it goes. I'm going to talk a little bit about payments and late payments, because that was something that came up today or yesterday that I just thought was something that would be good to talk about. So anyhow, let's get into it. First thing I want to talk about is, let me share my screen here. This is something that came out from Rhino Shield. So somebody had asked about Rhino Shield and what's the proper way to clean it. So I've had discussions with some reps of Rhino Shield before, and the answers I got were simply that you can't use bleach or don't use any bleach. So, and the last time I reached out to the corporate side of Rhino Shield, I didn't get an answer. Well, this time I did, and they sent me a couple of different things about cleaning the Rhino Shield product, okay? And what's important here, and I got to give a shout out to Mitchell Moore for catching this, is what they're suggesting to use, okay? So in this industry, we often have arguments about the mixing of things, and we talk about Gain dishwashing liquid, and we talk about Dawn dish soap, and don't mix it with bleach because it says right on it, don't mix with bleach, okay? So here we get something from the manufacturer, and I'm going to try to lean in and read this because it's super small on my screen. It says, use bleach, or excuse me, use a bleach cleaning solution that contains a 3-to-1 mix of water and bleach. Okay, well, first of all, it should be, okay, it says 3-to-1, and then it says water and bleach. Me, I just look at, you know, sometimes people don't think straight. They're like, oh, okay, well, 3 parts bleach and 1 part water. Okay, I think that they should clarify, even though it is there, because we got too many people out there that, you know, just don't think right. And that's part of where this is going, right? So it says a mixture that contains a 3-to-1 mix of water and bleach. And then it says adding, looks like it says, a half a pint of vinegar to a gallon of bleach solution will make the bleach solution more acidic and stronger and is recommended for heavy stains. Okay, I think this is just pure insanity on the part of Rhino Shield. And the reason I feel this is pure insanity is simply that if you get aggressive in mixing bleach and vinegar, you're going to create a poisonous gas. So here's a manufacturer saying, in a way, mix these two things together that can be potentially deadly to you. I just the mindset there, it blows my freaking mind. I don't get it. Anyhow, so that's where I'm going to start my little rant today. So for me, I try to look at how is a consumer going to see that, right? A consumer is going to look at that. They're going to be like, okay, well, it says a stronger and is recommended for heavy stains. Well, I tried a little bit. It didn't work. So let me just add a little more vinegar. Well, let me add a little more bleach. Let me add a little more vinegar. Spray it on. Well, yeah, it's putting out a nice little cloud, but it's not seeming to do anything. Let me add a little bit more. Okay. It's so stupid to me. So I am going to reach back out to Rhino Shield tomorrow, and I'm going to send them a nice little letter that says, hey, this is freaking stupid. How can you put out something like this to the general public saying mix these two chemicals together that can cause the creation of a poisonous gas? Blah. I'm not trying to pull a Karen here or nothing, but my goodness, I mean, that's just crap, right? Anyhow, all right, so that's kind of my thing on that, right? I'll get off the rant for that. I'm going to contact Rhino Shield, and I'm just going to look. I'm going to see where that goes, because I just think it's super stupid, right? All right, next thing is I've seen a lot of things lately about pumps and pumps going out, or and even with Cajun Soft Wash, we've been talking a little bit about they've had a couple of issues with booster pumps tripping breakers and things of that nature. So Wild West says, and this is a great question: 6%, 10%, 12.5%, 3-to-1. I mean, I would assume that they're assuming that the homeowner is getting Clorox at 3% or whatever it happens to be at that point in time. But are they? Are they using like the outdoor bleach at the 9%? That's an exact point right there. How stupid is that? That's, I guess, where that goes. Well, I guess I should put up this other banner I forgot to put up. There's that. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put up this one. Just as a reminder, real quick, the huge convention coming up, 18th, 19th, and 20th of August. 18th will be the spray wash classes, and then the 19th and 20th will be all the classes for the huge convention. So be there, be square, that kind of a thing. All right, let me go back here. All right, so on the pump side of it, I don't have an answer on some of this. I will say this. On the 12-volt pumps, I mean, we used to have pumps that would last anywhere from a month to 2 years. Now we have pumps that last anywhere from a month to 2 years. It seems like nowadays the 12-volt pumps aren't lasting as long, but you can still sometimes get a good amount of time out of them. One of the things that I noticed the most about the 12-volt pumps is that I don't know if it's something to do with the aluminum that's going on with them, but I'm noticing that they're leaking at the heads much quicker than they used to. I put a 12-volt pump in, and within the matter of maybe a month, it was already leaking at the head because of the corrosion from the bleach and the aluminum. So I don't know if there's been an issue there with the aluminum and it's just not being made all that great, but that's one of the issues that I personally ran into. And then again, with the 12-volt pump or the booster pumps, I just think nowadays, again, going back a little bit, I used to use the Dayton booster pumps, and the Daytons, man, they just lasted me forever, and I love those things. And I'm seeing some things on here about the booster pumps and the tripping of the breakers. And Cajun Soft Wash bought one here recently, and it's a brand new pump. I think it might be 3 weeks old, and it's already tripping breakers. Now, I will say that I believe that because of the shortages that are out there, it's really hard to get like Gould's pumps and all that. And then Dayton, of course, Dayton still makes them, but they had discontinued the one that worked really, really well. And so now I think that maybe some of the other contractors as well are reaching out and grabbing different pumps that aren't necessarily the Gould's pumps or the Dayton pumps, or there's the flow jets that are out there. So I think this was an aftermarket brand, I'll say that, just not the common brand that we're normally using, and it's tripping the breaker as well as the other ones are starting to trip breakers. Most of the time when you're tripping breakers with your booster pump, it's just that there's debris starting to build up inside that booster pump. And a lot of times you can take that metal housing off, clean those up, put it back together, and you'll be fine for a while. There's no telling how long you're going to be fine for, if you would, but normally speaking, you can pull that off, clean it up, put it back together, and run with it. Okay. That goes back to the other thing where sometimes guys will say, well, there's a big discussion about, do we hook up to house power or do we run off a generator? And I don't want to run off a house power, or I don't want to use the customer's water. I get it. I think the argument over water is I don't want to say a silly one, because it's silly to me, because in my area, we've got great water. But if you're in an area where you have like a well, and like Washington State, I've got family up in Washington State, and I know that some of them, their well might put out 1, 2, 3 gallons a minute. Okay. If that's the case, they've got this big reservoir. And if you burn up all their water, they're not going to be happy campers. Okay. So it's not really a silly deal when you talk about not wanting to use their water. So it really is area dependent. But to me, definitely I say we hook up to their water. Or if you're in an area like that where you've got issues with wells, I don't know if you guys are charging for bringing in water, but I personally would. I'd be charging to bring water up. And a lot of those areas might be even more on the rural side. So if it's on the rural side, I might have a 45-minute time to even get there. You definitely should be charging for your time to go and do these things. It's just something that you should do, and that's my opinion, right? All right, so again, taking those pumps apart, cleaning them up a little bit, putting them back together, generally that will stop the tripping issue, at least temporarily, until it does it again. And on the no-name brands, it tends to happen quicker, and sometimes when you take them apart, you can really tell the debris is in there. One of the things that you can do to see if that's part of the problem is take the very end of your pump off and then reach in with, most times you can't reach the end of it, the head, with your finger, but you can reach in with a screwdriver and try to turn. It should turn freely, okay? If it doesn't turn freely, or you hear it grinding or whatever, that's an indication that, hey, it's time to go ahead and take that apart, clean it all up, and go from there. All right, let's talk about peroxide and the other stuff that I'm seeing out there on the market today. Let me get rid of this banner now. I think everybody knows that one's there. Get rid of that. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff about peroxide, and I saw something the other day about some citrus-based stripper or something like that. So I kind of want to give my opinion on that, right? I think that there's a place for this stuff. I don't believe that SH is the end-all be-all, okay? It's the best product we have out there. I absolutely love it. I think it's what's going to really do the job for us most of the time. But there are those times when SH by itself, bleach by itself, just isn't going to get the job done. And so you might have to move to something else. You might have to use high pressure. I think I saw one the other day about somebody that is working over water or something like that. And in a case like that, you're typically not going to want to use the bleach, and maybe not the peroxides, and these kinds of things. So then you have to go maybe along that pressure route. And again, this all boils down to the pricing model of it. If you're not pricing these things correctly, and how do you determine whether or not? I guess I can get rid of this other thing too here. So how do you determine whether or not you're even pricing things correctly, right? So you have to get to a point where you understand, you know, what do you want to charge per hour? What do you want to make per day? These sorts of things, right? So if you're going out on a job and you're going to be out doing something different than you normally do, like let's say that it's something where you can't use bleach, so you have to use, just for argument's sake, I have to use high pressure, but I know I can't use that much high pressure, so I've got to use a brush, or I've got to do this, or I've got to do that. Why not? Why aren't you charging more for that? Well, they're just not going to pay that. They're just not going to pay that. Well, who cares? I mean, I hate to say it that way, but who cares, right? You have to look at it and say, normally in the day, I'm going to go out in this truck, and I'm just throwing out a general number here. Don't take it as gospel. But let's say that my truck goes out and it has to make $1,000 for the day, right? So if the truck's going to go out and make $1,000, but if I go out and I use high pressure and I got to brush all this and it's going to take me all day, and I'm charging $550 or $650 for the house wash or whatever, why? Right? I'd rather go do a different job that's going to make the $1,000, or go do 2 jobs that are going to make the $1,000. Okay, keep that in mind when you're doing these things. It's one of the best pieces of advice that I say that I could ever possibly give is the advice of I didn't do it. What I mean by that isn't that I didn't cause the problem, right? If you damage something, you did it, you know, own up to it, go for it from there, you know, that kind of thing. But what I'm talking about is you're not the one that built the house over the water, or you're not the one that used a certain type of material that you can't use SH on, or you're not the one that painted your house with an organic pigment paint, right? You're not the one that did it. So from that aspect, you have to look at it and say, I didn't do it. I'm here to solve your problem, and this is what it's going to cost. Why should you say, hey, I'm going to charge you less because your house sucks, right? Or you have a problem with your house that's not my fault, so I'm going to charge you less. That doesn't make any sense to me, right? You should think about these things and say, this is where I really like a minimum fee, okay? If you don't have a minimum fee set, I think you should really look at that, because you need to have a way to say to yourself, what is my value? What am I worth? How do I get to that value? How do I get to that worth, right? And if you have a minimum pricing structure set, you can sit there and say, okay, this is my minimum. And you can even boil it down to an hourly thing. My minimum is $5 an hour, whatever it is, $500 an hour. And determine how long that job is going to take you. If it's something where I could just go spray my bleach, spray my water, rinse it off, I'm good to go, I get it done in 3 hours, unless I'm Superman, I jump up on a massive tile roof and I knock it out in a half an hour. I'm not even going to go on that rant, I don't think. Maybe I will, because it's my night. I'm going to rant about whatever I want to. Anyhow, you know, if you're doing stuff like that, you need to look at this and say, this is going to take me 4 hours to get this job done. What is my hourly rate? What do I want to make? Do I want to be at $100 an hour? Do I want to be at $300? Do I want to be at $25? What do I want to be? Make that determination. And that's where you come up with your pricing. You got to remember, it's not your fault that they use that kind of material, or that they use that kind of paint, or that they sat and waited. One of the things I get the most along that line is, well, oh man, this house is just really, really dirty, and I got to do this and this and this and this and do this and this. I'm like, then why aren't you charging for it? Well, we just can't do that. And yes, you can. It's not your fault that they waited 10 years to get their house cleaned. It's their fault they waited 10 years, right? Your job is to explain what it is you're doing, why it is you're doing, how it is you're doing, the process that you're going to go through that's going to maybe put that roadblock in front of the competitor when they come out to give their pitch or spiel or whatever it is, right? Once you get to that point with them, that's you explain to them, hey, it's been 10 years. Isn't that what you said? Great. Okay. This is 10 years worth of buildup. It's going to take an extra amount of time. I got to charge for that time. People understand this. It's how you explain it. It's how you do it. It's how you go about it, right? All right. So that's that rant done, right? Maybe. Let's talk about all the soaps on the market. And this kind of feeds off of the peroxide and the other stuff that's coming up. And we've got all these different soaps out there. We've got Gutter Butter, we got EBC, we got Gold Assassin, we got Shambling Sauce, we got Slow Mo, we got Apple Wash, which is the best, by the way. Paid endorsement, but no, it's not paid endorsement. I just happen to love Apple Wash. I don't use it for its surfactant value. I use it for its color and scent. But anyhow, we have all these different soaps on the market, and the question keeps coming up of which is the right soap for me to use. I'm confused on which one to use. Well, look, I'm going to go back to something I say often, which is, different areas are going to require different things. I kept a lot of those on my truck, right? So I carried EBC because I really, really like EBC. I carry F9 products. I carry Shambling Sauce. I've carried, Slow Mo. I've carried different things on the truck that I can move around and use for whatever job. But when I find something that I like that works for me, forget about all the other noise that's out there, right? I highly recommend a professional soap. And, again, we can get into a great argument over what's a professional soap. But at the end of the day, I am one of them guys. I don't want to be pouring something in my tank that the homeowner can go and buy, because I don't even want them seeing it on my truck. Now, that being said, you might have a little bottle here for washing your hands or, whatever the case may be. But I don't personally want to use a, homeowner grade soap. So which is the right soap to use? Which is the best soap on the market, right? Man, it really boils down to the type of stain that you're dealing with, the outside temperature that you have, and all the different factors. And at the end of the day, I'm going to encourage you to try different soaps. Find the one that works best for you, that you happen to like. And here's another thing about a lot of the vendors that we have out there today that are pimping their soaps, okay, that are pushing their soaps, that are, all this kind of stuff. Look, I'm going to pick on Carlos Gonzalez. I don't know if he's on here or not, but I'm going to pick on Carlos Gonzalez. I'm going to pick on Carlos Gonzalez, and I'm going to pick on Craig Harrison, right? Look, these guys, you can pick up the phone and you can call them, right? If you buy something from Sears, I don't know why I'm picking up Sears, but if you buy something from Home Depot, right, and you have an issue with it, ZEP, industrial cleaner, whatever it is, can you call that company and get them on the phone and get the backing of them and get them to help explain to you what their process is, what it is that they. So the reason that I really do recommend people like Carlos Gonzalez and EBC and Craig Harrison and F9 and Pat Clark and Gutter Butter and all these kinds of things, a lot of it boils down to them helping the contractor when the contractor needs help. Okay. So that's kind of my reasoning behind some of that. That's why I support them. Look, we've got a lot of different vendors out there selling products and wares. You've got, powerwash.com, Michael Hindeleiter. You got Paul at the Power Wash store. You got Russ Johnson. You got, all these different people that are out there that are the bigger names, if you would. Keep one thing in mind, because sometimes I hear this about, they're overpriced, they're this, they're that, but yet they support this industry. They support you and I, and they support, and not only that, now you got, Nick Weisenberger has his own store, and you got, Eric and Lisa have their own store, and they're supporting the industry, and they're doing things to help further this industry, and they're going to answer phones for you, and things of that nature. So to me, those things are important. I'm gonna go over and look at some of the comments real quick, because I've been kind of going off here and not looking at them. This one says, from Righteous Standard, I like Slow Mo. I would like a cover scent. How much Apple Wash do I add to a 7-gallon of Slow Mo to mask the bleach? So look, for me, 7 gallons of Slow Mo better last you a long freaking time, okay? And vendors hate to hear me when I say this kind of stuff, because slow-mo is super, super thick. Here's how I mix it, okay? We have a 15-gallon tank in our truck, and now remember, there are rules and laws and all that, and you need to follow those. Kind of go find out what's in there. But anyhow, and there's a thing about 7 gallons. So anyhow, we use a 15-gallon tank. Typically, we take it down to where it's got about 5 gallons in it. Once it has 5 gallons in it, we fill it back up, okay? This is how we fill it up. We take 1 cup of slow-mo, we take 1 gallon of apple wash, and we mix that together. We usually put a little bit of warm water there to mix it up, because warm water helps break up that slow-mo. Mix it up real good. Then we put that in that tank, and then we add the rest water. Okay. Now we turn our dial up a little bit, and that's the beauty of the proportioner. I can turn my dial up and down and get whatever I need, right? So that's how I mix slow-mo. And again, using a little bit of hot water to make that happen, you know, help break up that slow-mo, to me is the best way to go. So all right, this one here says, Aunt Sarah says, hi guys, just landed my first house wash. Hey, congratulations. Gutter and patio job. I showed my ass, but at least I'm get started. I should have had a minimum, but I didn't. After hearing this, I'm going to set that price. Thanks, Doug. Hey, definitely. And here's the thing about it. For me, as you grow and you get better in this business, that's a raise, okay? One of the things that I heard many, many years back was, oh man, you know, I'm getting so good at this, man, I'm knocking this house quick. Man, I can lower my prices. Why would you do that? Sarah, once you get to a point where you're really good at what you do and you're knocking them out faster, don't lower your prices, right? Raise your prices, if anything, but keep in mind that as you get moving faster and you become better, more efficient, you buy better equipment, that's not the time to lower your price because you can do it quicker, faster, better, easier, right? That's giving yourself a raise. Now, instead of getting 1 house wash done in a day, you're getting 2 house washes done in a day, or 3 or 4. That's a raise, okay? That's how you're giving yourself a raise. And then you can even raise your prices up because you're better at it. You're more efficient at it. You know what you're doing. You're able to find those problems and get past these issues and these sorts of things. So don't lower your prices when you get better at what you're doing. You raise your prices up a little bit. All you're doing is giving yourself a raise. That's how I see it, right? Mr. Joe says, as an EBC distributor, anyone can reach out to me and I'm glad to help. That's what I'm talking about right there. If you don't, this is why I like these products and I like the people that back and support the products, because you can pick up the phone and you can get information. You can't do that. You can call Joe if you've got an EBC question, right? Joe, why don't you pop your phone number up there? Might as well do it, dude. Look, to me, it's supporting those who are supporting this industry and supporting us. That's kind of what I'm about. That's what I want to do. I want to help elevate. I want everybody to be professional and do a better job and, you know, get our prices up there and you know, make a great living for ourselves and our families. And, you know, these are the things that are my passion. This is where I come with education, where I want to see people doing a better job and getting better pricing and that kind of thing. So there you go. And then we got Wild West saying, congratulations, Aunt Sarah, on your first house wash. And Sarah saying, I appreciate that. Let's see. I don't know who this Facebook user is. Preach it. Hey, man, it's my day. Ray doesn't show up. I get to rant all I want, right? So there you go. Jacob Deal says, same here with Gold Assassin. Absolutely, right? You can call Jacob. You can call Bobby. You can call. This is where we talk about again, I'm going on my rant to say, look, we can support the industry that's supporting us. And this is why I personally prefer to use these products. I don't want to mix stuff together. I want to have a product that I can use, and if I have problems or I'm not sure how to use it, I can pick up the phone and I can do it. Somebody today sent me something about a brick wall that had all this nastiness on it, right? And they'd had some leakage or something, or it might have been a water feature or something. So it had the efflorescence on it. It had the, I can't remember what all it had on it, calcium building up on it and all this kind of stuff. And so my suggestion was, hey, you know, go to the F9 cookbook. It's going to tell you how to remove that stuff. And if you have questions after you've read the cookbook, you can call the guy that makes the stuff and get information. That's why I like that. All right, so Joe for the EBC says my number is the 919-306-8793, and Jacob Deal says you can also call about Gold Assassin, 865-415-7862. Actually, it's not Jacob Deal, it's Jacob Dowell. Yeah. Sorry, Facebook user. I'll say hey back. I don't know who that is when it says Facebook user. That's just how it comes through to us. Sorry. All right. Wild West says they do not pay us for the hour we work. They pay us for the 10 years it took us to get that good. Abso-frickin-lutely, right? There's that old one that I'm sure, I mean, many of you have heard, the story of the guy that, and there's many variations of the story, but the variation of the story that I like the most is the guy that, you know, they have all their mechanics trying to work on this machine, this big old engine inside this Freightliner, right? This big old boat, and they can't get this thing to run. And so they call up this guy who's this well-known mechanic, and he comes out there and he's listening to it, and he walks along and he taps on the engine with his hammer, and the engine roars to life, right? So he sends him a bill for $1,500 or whatever that was. And the guy's like, this is ridiculous. Why am I, you were here for 5 minutes, you know? And the guy says, you're not paying me for the 5 minutes of my time. You're paying me for the knowledge of knowing exactly where to hit that engine to get it to start. Okay, you're paying me for my knowledge and my expertise and my professionalism and what I do, and the fact that I back up what I say and the fact that I back up what I do. This is the exact same thing when I go back to the soaps, right? I go back to the soaps because I'm saying this is why I support those vendors, if you would, okay? Because it's about that knowledge that they have and that what they're able to give to us and to help us with. That's why I support that kind of thing. All right, somebody is saying, show me the number again. I'm not sure which number, so I'm going to go this way. Jacob Dowell, Jacob Dill. Yeah, that's his number. And then I'm going to go up to the next number, which was Joe's, and it was right here. So there's Joe's number. I can't put them both up at the same time. So I'm gonna if you tell me which one that you were looking for, or if you want both of them, there you go. There's Joe's, there's Jacob. Boom. Boom. All right. Righteous says, I do need help with the EBC mix ratio. What is the contact info for EBC? So that is going to be Mr. Joe Devenrow and Devenow. See, now I'm purposely trying to mess with Jacob by getting his last name incorrectly, and now I'm messing up with Joe. So there you go. There's the number for that. All right, let's go back to the next one. Someone needs to make a book of mix ratios for different applications on F9, EBC, etc., etc. I think that for EBC, or not for EBC, EBC does. So look, let me back up and say this. It's right on the bottle. It really, really is, Righteous. On the bottle of EBC, it gives you mix ratios right there on the bottle. F9 products, you can get the app. Craig Harrison has an app that goes with his cookbook, and all those ratios and everything are right there for you, and it makes it really easy to do. So, all right, Righteous, I don't know if you got that number. I'll zip back up here one more time. That is the number for Joe. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, so all right, the next thing in my rant series here today is I've seen a couple of posts now about wiping, and I've had some phone calls about wiping, okay? And some of this has been from, I'm going to say, mostly new people. And part of my point in this is going to be that over time, you get to an understanding. When you, just like anything else, when you get the right education, you just know things, right? So I can go out to a job and I can look at something and I can know this has the potential of doing this, or this has the potential of doing that. So keep in mind that as you are in business, and this goes back to that whole pricing thing we were talking about and knowing where to hit the hammer and all that kind of thing. It's about growing that knowledge base and understanding. That's why, hey, plug for the plant and property class. That's why I recommend the plant and property class, not just because Ray and I did this class, but because, and we did this class out of passion, to be honest with you, to get, so we saw so many things going wrong and knowing that people don't need to make these mistakes, okay? So a lot of it has to do with just getting that knowledge base. And as you gain that knowledge base, right, now you can use that knowledge, and that's where you charge your money for it. But going back to the wiping of the siding, right, I can say, looking at that siding, I would have known that it needed to be brushed, okay? So let's keep one thing in mind, or let's understand something. Let's go over here. He says he's got it. Let's keep one thing in mind here, and that is bleach does not clean anything. Bleach is not a cleaner, okay? A lot of people think, oh yeah, well, bleach, I use bleach to clean this. Well, you don't use bleach to clean it. I'm sorry. Bleach is for the organics, to kill the organics that are there. The soap is what helps you to remove the dirt and the grime, right? But there are a lot of things that siding, vinyl siding is one of those great examples, or a rough wood siding, rough sawn type of a siding. It may need to be brushed. I challenge you to do something. The next time you do a house wash, after you're done and it's all shiny and bright and beautiful and all that, go up and wipe it with your finger. There are times you're gonna wipe stuff off on your finger. Even on a metal building, you go up and you wipe and you're like, I can't even see it, but it's right there. You now can see it, right? Okay. So my point in some of this is that there are things that just aren't going to come off during a normal wash, and they may require brushing, and it requires experience to get to an understanding of what it is that requires that needs that. Okay. So, and again, that goes back to the whole pricing thing of why we charge what we charge, because of our knowledge base, right? And as our knowledge base goes up, we deserve to make more money. It's just the way it is. All right. John Sacco says, EBC, Gold Assassin, F9, all amazing products, and I support them, and all of their owners are right there for us all. Absolutely. Righteous says, thank you for your time and sharing the knowledge. Mr. Davis, sup, brother? Let's see. We've got... David says, if you are relying on a cookbook at this stage in your career, you are a slow learner. David, I disagree with that, and I'll explain that here in a second. And you do not have the previous knowledge entering the field. Yes. So when you're entering the field, you don't have the knowledge, and the cookbook is a good thing. But I can tell you, there are times when I would still go back and say, oh man, okay, yeah, let me grab the cookbook for this or that or whatever. Or I would recommend it for my guys, okay? Because it's not just about me going out in the field. I have employees that are going out in the field. And having the cookbook available for them is kind of the important side of it as well. So although I agree with you, I also say, there are times where, and depending on area, because sometimes, in different areas, there are different things that you find. And so you might run into something that you haven't run into before. So I get where you're going, and I do agree. And I guess for me, when I'm thinking about that, I'm also thinking about employees. And so having them having access to the cookbook, to me, is a really good thing. So Nick Hopkins is in the house. I can't believe it. Man, I'm going to have to, oh, man, hold on. Hold on one second, guys. One second. I'll be right back. Hold on one second. I'm coming, I promise. All right. Nick Hopkins is in the house. Got to do this right if Nick's in the house, right? Nick is a big guy. I don't know if anybody's ever met Nick. Nick's a big guy. And so he gave me one of his shirts, and I fit the thing, which made me feel bad because I'm not that big. Anyhow. All right, let's go here to Nick. Nick says, introduce a cleaner agent, i.e. EBC, into your mix. Often dirts are electrostatically adhered. I said that kind of messed up. You can read it. By roads, etc., will generate this. Agitation is required. Exactly. And that's kind of where I was going with that statement. Sometimes you look at something, you know, it's not going to come off. And that's where the electrostatically charged part of it, it's adhered to it, stuck to it. Sometimes we get that on the roof as well, where it just takes some agitation. That's what it is. It just takes that. Good to see you here, Nick. Plant and property is fantastic. Changed the way we look at properties and helped increase our prices. Absolutely. And can't wait to see you in Atlanta for the huge, for the plant and property class, Mr. James. So look, for me, it's something that I of course I preach it all the time. I love the plant and property class, and I love to teach the plant and property class. That's probably more important to me. I love to teach it. Let me go back down to my comments here. So for me, I'll break this back down to something I've said many, many times over, and that is like with certification. So the plant and property class is a certification class. And once you pass the tests on it, which by the way, we're making some changes to where if you have employees and you pay for the plant and property class, you're going to be able to have the employee get their own login to take their own tests, and they can themselves get certified. So that's an announcement we should be, I guess I just made it, but we'll be making here. That's something we're going to do for everybody that takes the plant and property class. Anyhow, certifications, education, whatever it is, it's all pointless. It's all meaningless if you don't use it in your pitch and in your process, right? You need to pitch that. You need to talk about that. One of the things, and I know I've said it probably 1,000 times, and like the broken record side of it again, why is it that my company could sell more jobs, be booked out further, and have more trucks? Okay. A lot of it, I think, boils down to that whole plant and property class, because I educate those customers. And I've always said, I feel sorry for you if you came before me, and I pity you if you come after me. Because if you went before me and you didn't educate that customer and you filled them full of hogwash or you did whatever, you said it's like a day at the spa for your plants. Okay. It's all eco-friendly, biodegradable, all that kind of stuff. And then I come in and I talk about, yeah, it's biodegradable, it's eco-friendly, blah, blah, blah. So 100% biodegradable, crude oil, gasoline, they all fall under 100% biodegradable. You want me to just dump gasoline on your plants? No, it can harm your plants, right? I don't know why I'm holding up one finger. I guess I was going to do something else. So I feel sorry for you if you come before me, because if you didn't educate that client, I'm going to. And I pity you if you come after me, because you're going to be dealing with an educated client who's going to do one of two things. They're either just going to, oh yeah, cool, great, yeah, okay, well, whatever, get out of here, right? Or they're going to challenge you. And that's where I would love to be the fly on the wall sometimes for that kind of stuff. Anyhow, let's see here. Wild West, and the soap is to break the water tension. So I've said this before. I challenge all of you out there to do this simple little test. If you've been in the business a long time, you already got this. You know this. You know that kind of thing. If you haven't been around so long, take you a couple of drops of water and drop them on concrete. What are they going to do? They're going to beat up. Okay. Take a couple drops of bleach, drop on a concrete. They're going to beat up. Put the water and the bleach together, drop it on a concrete. It's just going to beat up. Okay. It's not going to. It can create just a little bead, and it can just sit there. Right. Now add a little bit of soap to that, and it's going to just spread right out. It's going to break that surface tension for you. All right, next one here is RPC says, A lot of people have gotten lazy. Absolutely. They think the pressure washing does everything. Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that we see a lot of questions about. And you're like, sometimes you just gotta work for it. And this is where, as you grow and you go and you gain knowledge, you understand I have to charge more for this job because I have to brush it, because I have to do this, right? Righteous says, hey, I'm new at this. Brother, we're all new at it in a way. You know, you gain knowledge, and it's we all had to start somewhere. And I encourage you to invest in yourself and invest in your education, and listen to some of the older guys out there. Listen to some of the younger guys out there. I'm going to go to this next comment because it kind of falls along that same line, right? So I'm not a cleanso zone guy. I don't know enough about it yet, but I'm not going to discount it either right off the bat, because I think that there is a time, just like everything else, where a lot of us older guys are sitting there going, no, it's taboo, it's taboo. But, you know, electric vehicles are coming up, right? I mean, things that we didn't think. Matter of fact, this Sunday, Virgin Galactic is going to space with people, right? So times are changing, and we you know, I'm not going to discount the products but I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. I want to see them working. But I also don't want to discount anything. I think that we need to be trying some of these new products. And I think that a lot of these new products need to be in the hands of some of the veterans to get them to try them and get them to see that they actually work and do what they're supposed to do and that kind of thing. Joe says, cookbook and employee must. I can't be there all the time. Absolutely. That's kind of where I was going with that point. Let's see. David says, seal wet, cleaning, stripping, sealing, tips and tricks. Tips and tricks. My tips and tricks on sealing and stripping, let me give it to you here in a nutshell. I don't strip and seal other than stripping for my wife. If she hears me say that, she's going to kill me. Anyhow, I'm not the stripper and sealer guy, so I don't want to get into tips and tricks on, I don't want to make anything up. I don't have that knowledge, so that's not something I can really touch on, but we can certainly get somebody to help you out with that. If you reach out to me, Doug at spraywashacademy.com, I will find you the right person to chat with about that. Anyhow, Righteous says, what does the cookbook have in it? All kinds of stuff. Can I elaborate? Yeah, all kinds of stuff, man. It's so stupid cheap. I'm just going to recommend checking it out. Look at it. It's going to talk about efflorescence. It's going to talk about concrete. It's going to talk about different stains. It talks about all kinds of stuff. So there's so much in that book. I think it's like, I don't even remember how many pages it is. It's a lot of pages. And I think it's like page 38. It's got a great company featured on it. I don't remember which page it is, but Cajun Soft Wash. Anyhow, and look, I also want to point out, I'm not being paid to endorse these things. That's not the case, right? It's just these are my thoughts, my feelings. This is what I'm going with today. Because Ray Burke isn't here because he's employee number 7, right? Employees, man, they suck. This is proof positive, right? Ray is now an employee and he doesn't show up. Piss on him. You know, if that guy were here in front of me, I'd smack him upside the head. All right. Anyhow, you will learn something every day, even after 42 years. If you aren't learning something on a regular basis, you need to do a double check. Because I completely agree with that. You should be learning continuously. It is a learning curve that we're on every single day. I will even say this. I think you can learn from a 2-year-old. Maybe it's about what not to do. Sometimes it's about what you should do. I got a story here. My son was about 2 years old, and I had some trauma to my legs, trauma to my back, that kind of thing. But I get cramps. And so I was laying in bed, and my foot just cramped up, started doing this. And I'm like, ah! And my son, 2 years old, waddles over to my feet, looks at me like I'm stupid, pushes a couple of my toes back, completely eliminates the pain right then and there. Like, duh, Dad. You can learn something from virtually anybody. You want us to smell your finger, Doug? No, that's not where that was going. I think I got my point across. I live 40. I'm not sure where I'm going with that one. Let's see. Christopher says mixing bleach and vinegar does create a poison. Oh, does not create a poisonous gas. I'm going to disagree with you on that. It can create. Matter of fact, let me see real quick if I can pull up. Mixing bleach and vinegar does create a poisonous gas. I'll have to look it up. Or can create a poisonous gas. So I'm going to disagree with you on there. I'm going to tell y'all to Google it yourself, that kind of thing. But mixing bleach and vinegar is not a good thing. That is a myth that circulates through informational sources. You won't find any credible study that measures significant amounts of chlorine gas. See, I appreciate that comment, though. No matter what, I do encourage you to look at things for yourself. I disagree with that, okay? But that's my opinion, and that's where I'm going. But here it is. You've got somebody else that says that's not credible information. That's cool. So look up your own information, find out what you want to find out. I believe that you can create a poisonous gas that way. That's my belief on it. Respectfully, hey, not a problem, man. Christopher, it's all good, but I would rather that this is how we do things, right? Anybody can be wrong at any given point in time, and we need to be respectful with each other and be. I think you did that very respectfully. I don't have a problem with that at all. It's the same thing with, like I said before, I'm not on the peroxide bandwagon kind of thing, but I think it needs its chance to give it a try. We need to be respectful with one another. So, dude, I completely appreciate what you said. Don't have a problem with you coming at it the way that you did. Don't have a problem with that at all. Let's see. MTH says, I live 40 minutes from Cleansall, BC, guys. Office, good stuff. I agree. Cleansall, BC is made by EcoChem, and I really like EcoChem products. Nick Hopkins says, we are seeing the hourly rate increase up to 25% on the back of core cost price increases. Transport, fuel, wages, etc., all rising along with general asset values. What do you see stateside? I agree. So I don't know that people are raising their prices here, Nick. They should be. So we just had, Cajun Softwash just had a 50, I think he said either 52 or 53% price increase in the cost of bleach, right? Costs on everything are going up because the shipping channels. I can tell you right now, I made the trip from Baton Rouge up to Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago. I cannot tell you, every single exit ramp and on ramp had truckers parked on it, right? All of the way stations and the rest areas were full of trucks. You couldn't get in there. You couldn't park. I was pulling a truck and trailer, so pickup and trailer. I was parking where the trucks were. I couldn't find a place to park. They were all over the place. If you look at the want ads, man, they're hiring truckers like crazy because the supply chains are all backed up. People can't get stuff. And prices on things are getting a lot higher, and you should reflect that in your prices out there. So I don't know if everybody's increasing their prices, Nick, but they should be, I think. All right, Wild West says, ammonia and bleach makes chlorine gas. It's heavier than air and gas. There you go. Vinegar is acidic, and that is the next thing. I completely agree with Christopher on this. Vinegar is acidic. It's not an ammonia base. So I agree with him that it is an acid base or more of an acidic base. Let's see. Wild West says they made it for trench warfare. Swift falls down in the trenches. Let's see. Jim Bob says they suck. I don't know who you're talking about, Jim Bob, but I agree with you. They suck. Whoever they are, they suck. Kim Hopkins. Of course, this is a great shirt. This is an awesome shirt. I take this to all the conventions now, and I love. This is probably. I mean, I designed the Cajun soft wash shirt, and I really like that shirt, but I like this one better. I mean, I'm just saying, I like this shirt. And, you know, there you go. Aunt Sarah says, okay, last one for me, Doug. First aid. What do you have in your kit? That is an awesome, awesome question. So what do you guys carry in your trucks, and are you carrying a first aid kit? I only got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to have to jump through a bunch of these. So to me, first aid kits are super important. You should have them on every truck. You should have the kits that I would do a fully stocked kit, but aside from that, I would get, because most of the kits that you buy to me are not adequate, right? They don't have good enough Band-Aids and, you know, this kind of thing. And for the little stuff, so that's the one thing I would do. I would get, and not only that, but with your first aid kits, you should require your guys to let you know when they open them and when they use them. Because I know for me, I've gone up to the first aid kit and I've gone, there's none of this left, whatever it is. Yeah, we used the last one like 4 weeks ago. You know, if you don't tell me, I can't replace it. So maybe even consider to have that as part of your inventory list. Do a, you know, weekly or monthly inventory list of what's on the truck, and that should be one of the things that you go through. Michael Norris says, new business here. Any tips? Beginner-friendly chemical line. Look, we kind of went over that a little bit here earlier. There are a lot of chemicals out there, and there's a lot of different things to use. So I would recommend reaching out to some of the vendors here, and, you know, Power Wash Store. Get in touch with Paul Cassander and reach out to the Power Wash Store. Maybe try some different soaps. Find out what works best for you. And that's also an open-ended question, because beginner-friendly chemicals for what? Are we talking about fleet washing? Are we talking about house washing? Are we talking about roof cleaning? Are we talking about dry? You see what I mean? So that's kind of an open-ended question there. I think that for me on the chemical line, get together with somebody like Paul at the Power Wash Store, Eric and Lisa, any one of the Power Wash Store franchises, Michael Hindeleiter, Russ Johnson. Get together with them and find out what it is that they can help you to understand what it is that you're going to be using. Next one here is, I think there is too much SH use and not enough soaps. I think I agree with that in some instances. Sarah again says, Michael, it's all through the video. Good stuff today. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Wild West says, we do not pay the inflation the customer does. Absolutely. And this is the point that I think Nick was trying to make. And this is a great point here. And that is, you should not be paying the inflation. You pass that on to the customer. Who pays for stuff? The customer pays for it. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Don't take away from yourself. I mean, the cost of prices, stuff is going up. Raise it. Nick says it's the only clean one in existence. Jim Bob says, employees broke proportioner today. There you go. Employees suck. Like Ray. Ray sucks because he's not here. But I'm having more fun, so I don't care that he's not here, right? He's probably going to watch this. I probably shouldn't pick on him too much. Sarah says, you're the best, Doug. Thank you so much. Take care. Rock on. Thank you. I appreciate that. Wild West says, I carry a blowout kit, but I'm a militia man. There you go. Yeah, you know, for those of you that don't know, I was a combat medic. So, I mean, I like to carry sutures and all kinds of stuff, but it's probably not the best thing to give to employees, kind of a thing, you know, whatever. So anyhow, and I carry a bullet to put them down if need be. That's why we carry bleach. Bleach is not to clean properties. It is to dispose of the bodies. No. Okay. Anyhow, look, hey, I appreciate y'all. I'm running past 7 o'clock here. Thursdays we try to end it right at the hour for Mr. Guyman to get his thing in there as well. So, hey, I really appreciate y'all tonight. Thank you for letting me go on my little bit of a rant. I was going to talk about late payments and all that. Not going to have time. So I appreciate y'all. And one last one here. Closed my first slate roof. Absolutely black. Going to set up the video and pics for a small commercial. Absolutely, man. Congrats on your first slate roof. They're awesome to clean. They clean up beautifully. Just hopefully you talk to the customer about rust. That's an issue that sometimes comes up that I like to talk to customers about. Appreciate y'all. Peace out. Thank you very much. Don't forget, huge convention. Be there or be square.